Right now, 886 million miles away, a storm has been raging at Saturn's North Pole for decades. Not just any storm, a perfect hexagon. 6 straight sides, spinning in defiance of every law of fluid dynamics we know. NASA's own images show it clearly. At the South Pole, another permanent storm that looks exactly like an eye. 2 impossible storms that have been stable since we first photographed them in the 1980s. But here's what they won't tell you. That hexagon is creating a frequency, a sound. And some researchers believe that sound might be broadcasting directly into your consciousness right now, limiting what you can perceive, what you can remember, what you can become. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Chronicles. I'm Percival Blackwood. Every major religion worships Saturn. Every secret society reveres it. The black cube in Mecca, the 6-pointed star on police badges and national flags, judges' robes, graduation caps, even Saturday, literally Saturn's Day. The symbols are everywhere once you see the pattern. And the question nobody wants to ask is, why? Let me show you something that should make you deeply uncomfortable. In every ancient culture, Sumerian, Egyptian, Greek, Roman, Hindu, Saturn was the old sun, the dark sun, the god of time. The Greeks called it Kronos, harvesting souls with a scythe. The Romans held Saturnalia festivals in late December, giving gifts, decorating trees. That became your Christmas. Saturn worship, rebranded. Here's where it gets strange. Ancient myths describe Saturn as Earth's primary sun before a cataclysm rearranged the solar system. And those same ancient astronomers, Babylonian, Chinese, Indian, who tracked planets with obsessive detail, never mentioned Saturn's rings. Not once. The rings only appear in Western records after Galileo's telescope in 1610. Either every civilization missed them, or they weren't there. Norman Bergrun spent his career at Ames Research Laboratory and Lockheed Martin on classified aerospace projects. In the 1980s, he analysed Voyager probe images of Saturn and published findings that destroyed his mainstream credibility. His book, Ringmakers of Saturn, claims the rings aren't natural. They're being actively manufactured by electromagnetic vehicles larger than Earth itself. NASA's own photographs show massive cigar-shaped objects in the rings with what appears to be exhaust streaming from them. His work disappeared into obscurity, but the photographs are real, publicly available, undeniable. When Cassini arrived at Saturn in 2004, it detected enormously powerful radio emissions, structured, patterned signals. You can listen to them online. Deep, resonating, almost mechanical sounds. Then scientists discovered the hexagon storm is a standing wave, a visual manifestation of frequency. Play certain sounds through water or sand in a laboratory and they form geometric patterns. One specific frequency creates a perfect hexagon. Saturn is broadcasting a frequency that manifests as visible geometry. The 6-pointed star, the hexagram, predates Judaism by millennia. Found in Babylon, Hindu temples, Islamic architecture. It's on police badges across America, on the Israeli flag because the Rothschild family used it as their symbol when they funded Israel's creation. Why? Because viewed from above, Saturn's hexagon becomes a 6-pointed star. The cube is a flattened hexagon. The Kaaba in Mecca, a black cube, Islam's focal point. Jewish phylacteries, black cubes on the head. Graduation caps, cubes when you receive your degree. Corporate headquarters built as massive black glass cubes. Walk through any financial district and count them. Satan? The word derives from Saturn. Saturnus becomes Satan, the Dark Lord, Lord of the Rings, God of time and death. Old paintings of God show a white-bearded ancient figure. That's not Christian. That's Kronos, Saturn, the Ancient of Days. Santa Claus is an anagram of Satan, dressed in Saturn's colours of red and black, giving gifts during Saturnalia. Astrologically, Saturn rules restriction, limitation, authority, hierarchy, government law and control. Banking systems, ruled by Saturn, politics and institutions, Saturn, corporations. Saturn, legal systems and courts. Saturn, academia and science. Saturn. Every structure of societal control falls under Saturn's domain. Corporate logos are saturated with this symbolism once you see it. The six-pointed stars, the cubes, the rings, the hexagons, everywhere. Either it's the biggest coincidence in history, or someone designing these brands knows exactly what they're doing. In 2019, University of Michigan researchers discovered the pineal gland produces DMT, the most powerful psychedelic known. This gland, which Descartes called the seat of the soul, calcifies heavily in modern humans, especially those exposed to fluoride. Crystals can receive and transmit frequencies. Is your calcified pineal acting as a receiver? David Icker's research concludes Saturn's rings are a broadcast system. The moon, which has its own impossibilities, acts as an amplifier. Together they create what he calls the Saturn-Moon matrix, a frequency prison keeping human consciousness locked in limited perception. Every major religion and secret society points at Saturn. Roman Catholicism transformed Saturnalia into Christmas. Judaism associates Saturn with the Sabbath. Islam centers worship on Saturn's black cube. Freemasonry embeds Saturn symbolism throughout their rituals. When supposedly distinct belief systems converge on one thing, you're looking at something deeper than coincidence. Our society runs on fear of job loss, poverty, terrorism, disease, political enemies. News cycles amplify it, social media weaponizes it. Fear keeps you in your reptilian brain, pure survival mode with no creativity, intuition, or higher consciousness. And if something feeds on human emotional energy, fear is the richest food source. The Gnostic texts discovered in Egypt in 1945 describe the archons, entities that feed on human energy, can't create, only corrupt and manipulate perception to keep us trapped. They gave humans a false consciousness, preventing us from realizing what we truly are. Sound familiar? The moon is too large for Earth's size, in a perfect circular orbit creating perfect solar eclipses. The moon appears exactly the same size as the sun, which is mathematically absurd. It rings like a bell when hit, suggesting it's hollow. Ancient texts describe times before it existed. Russian scientists in 1971 wrote that the moon's anomalies suggest it's a gigantic craft. If it's artificial, placed deliberately, what's its function? Now look at the technology we're building. Elon Musk's Starlink, 42,000 satellites creating electromagnetic coverage of every inch of Earth. Jeff Bezos with Project Kuiper doing the same. They claim it's for internet, but you don't need that many satellites for connectivity. 5G towers in every neighborhood, smart devices in every home. The Internet of Things connecting to a central grid. We're building the next level of the prison ourselves. Electromagnetic fields affect the blood-brain barrier, melatonin production, brainwave patterns. Published research, not conspiracy. If you wanted to control consciousness, you'd surround people with specific frequencies, calcify their perception gland, keep them in constant stress, then convince them it's their fault they feel anxious and depressed. Sell them pharmaceuticals for symptoms you created. The symbols are everywhere because those in power know something about frequency and consciousness. Every time you see Saturn symbolism, hexagons, cubes, six-pointed stars, you're being reminded subconsciously of the system. Banks, governments, media, tech giants all using the same ancient symbols, not showing you their logo, showing you what they serve. So am I saying a planet 886 million miles away broadcasts mind control through an artificial moon, trapping us in an electromagnetic prison designed by non-human intelligence? That's what the theory claims. That's what decades of research by people like Iker and Bergrun conclude. The symbols are real, the hexagon is real, the radio emissions are real, the ancient worship is undeniable, the modern symbolism is everywhere. But here's where we need to think critically. Saturn is a gas giant with a hexagon storm that atmospheric physics can partially explain. Standing waves from jet streams create geometric patterns. Scientists have recreated hexagons in labs, but they haven't recreated one that's been stable for 40 years and counting. They haven't explained why it exists at one pole and an eye at the other. Unusual but not supernatural is what they say when they can't actually explain it. Every planet with a magnetosphere produces radio waves, but most don't sound like that. Most don't produce structured, patterned emissions that make researchers uncomfortable. Bergrun's electromagnetic vehicles could be lensing effects or image artifacts. NASA says there's no evidence of artificial structures. NASA also said the Nimitz Tic Tac was a weather balloon until they couldn't anymore. Dismissing Bergrun because he wasn't a planetary scientist is the same reasoning that dismissed every breakthrough by someone outside the approved priesthood. The six-pointed star is simple geometry that appears everywhere. True. What's not simple is why banking institutions, intelligence agencies and secret societies all adopted the exact same simple geometry that happens to match Saturn's North Pole. Coincidence stacked on coincidence eventually stops being coincidence. Here's what we know for certain. The people in power are obsessed with Saturn symbolism. They use it constantly, deliberately, across every institution of control. Banking, Saturn symbols everywhere. Government, Saturn Day is when nothing moves. Corporate logos, hexagons and cubes, courts, black robes, Saturn symbolism in architecture. Academia, you wear a cube on your head to graduate. They know something, whether it's cosmic broadcasts or something else about how consciousness and power actually work. They know, and they're not telling you. The Saturn-Moon matrix might not be literally true as Icky describes it, but what if the metaphor is pointing at something real? What if there is a frequency that limits human consciousness, and whether it comes from Saturn or from the electromagnetic soup we're building around ourselves doesn't actually matter? The effect is the same. Limited perception, controlled consciousness, trapped potential. Consider this. Ancient cultures across the world worship the same planet using the same symbols. Modern power structures use those exact symbols. Electromagnetic technology is blanketing Earth in frequencies we don't fully understand. The pineal gland calcifies and stops producing compounds that expand consciousness. 5G operates at safe levels, according to organizations funded by the telecom industry. Banking cartels control global economies using Saturn symbolism. Governments surveil populations using technology launched during Saturnalia season. Media manipulates billions using algorithms optimized during the planetary hour of Saturn. Either it's all meaningless coincidence, or there's a pattern so large we can barely perceive it. The seductive part of the Saturn theory is it gives you something to point at. That's the source of control. Up there 886 million miles away. But what if it's both? What if human power structures learn to tap into something about Saturn's frequency, real or metaphorical, that actually works? What if the banking cartels, corporate monopolies, government surveillance and media manipulation aren't just human systems, but human systems aligned with or empowered by something we don't understand? Because here's what doesn't make sense. Why would every major civilization independently worship Saturn? Why would every secret society use its symbolism? Why would modern corporations, who test everything, who optimize every pixel for maximum psychological impact, all converge on the same ancient symbols unless those symbols do something? Symbols affect consciousness. That's not mystical, that's neuroscience. Colours, shapes, frequencies all influence brain states. The question isn't whether symbols have power. The question is, do these specific symbols have power because humans gave it to them? Or did humans recognise power that was already there? We're not trapped by Saturn broadcasts alone. We're definitely trapped by human systems of control. But those systems all use the same symbolism, the same geometric patterns, the same references to the same planet. At some point you have to ask, why? Maybe Saturn is broadcasting. Maybe it's not. Maybe the ancient astronomers who built entire civilizations around tracking it knew something we've forgotten. Maybe secret societies preserve that knowledge. Maybe modern power structures use it consciously. Or maybe, and this is the really unsettling possibility, maybe the pattern is so deep that even the people using these symbols don't fully understand why they work. They just know they do. The electromagnetic environment we're creating isn't being built by accident. 42,000 satellites, 5G towers every few blocks, smart devices in every pocket. Whether that's to receive Saturn's signal or to create our own frequency prison, the result is the same. Humanity bathed in electromagnetic radiation, pineal glands calcifying, consciousness narrowing, potential limiting. And the people building it? They use Saturn symbols. Consistently, deliberately, everywhere. So here's where we actually are. Something is limiting human potential. The symbols are real and they're everywhere. The power structures all use them. The electromagnetic environment is unprecedented and understudied. Ancient cultures were obsessed with Saturn for reasons we don't fully understand. Modern institutions are obsessed with Saturn symbolism for reasons they won't explain. Whether there's a literal broadcast from Saturn or whether these symbols tap into something else about consciousness, frequency, and power, something is happening. Something real. Something that deserves investigation, not dismissal. The banking cartels aren't powerful by accident. The corporate monopolies don't all use hexagons by coincidence. Government surveillance didn't choose the all-seeing eye randomly. Media manipulation didn't independently discover the same symbols ancient priesthoods used. There's a through line connecting all of it, and that through line runs through Saturn. Is it cosmic? Is it psychological? Is it electromagnetic? Is it something we don't have words for yet? I don't know, but I know this. When every power structure in human civilization points at the same planet using the same symbols, you don't dismiss it. You investigate it. The research into Saturn isn't about believing in space broadcasts. It's about recognizing that something about these symbols, this planet, this frequency, has been used to control human consciousness for thousands of years, and it's still being used today. Maybe Saturn is literally broadcasting. Maybe it's a metaphor for something else entirely. Maybe the truth is stranger than either option. But don't let the strangeness of the theory make you miss the strangeness of the facts. The facts are, they worship Saturn. They use its symbols. They build technology that might amplify its influence or create their own version of it. And you feel trapped in systems you can't escape, limited in ways you can't articulate, controlled by forces you can't quite see. That's not theory. That's your life. So keep questioning. Keep looking at those symbols and asking why. Keep investigating the technology and who's building it. Keep studying the ancient texts and what they knew. Because whether the answer is cosmic or terrestrial, electromagnetic or psychological, the pattern is real. And understanding the pattern, that's how you break free from it. Stay curious, tunnelers. Stay skeptical. But don't be so skeptical that you dismiss something real just because it sounds impossible. Remember, they've been calling truth impossible for as long as they've been hiding it. The Rabbit Hole Chronicles is an independent production. We don't worship Saturn, but we're damn sure going to figure out why everyone in power does. Whether the broadcast comes from 886 million miles away or from the corner office, someone wants you not to notice the pattern. That alone tells you the pattern matters.